Well, 101 is not nearly as fancy of a number, is it? No, but oh well. What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for another episode of the Forgotten Race Review as we track down those few remaining non-core races that we haven't quite got to jam in on the channel yet. Today, though, like I said, requests for third-party and homebrew that are on the list presently will still be fulfilled. Today, at the request of Devin McTrusty, we're cracking open In the Company of Fiends. Let's talk about the Nephilim. If you're liking what you're seeing, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. Today, this episode of the Forgotten Race Review is brought to you in part by our very newest patron, BJ Bay. As a patron, they receive access to our Google Sheets for character builds, our cheat sheets for fancy combat stuff, and BJ's request get to cut to the front of the line. So, my friend, thank you. Welcome, truly. Now, let's look at this awkward work of dark edgelord prose that truly is the Nephilim. Edgelord is not a term I normally use lightly, but when you open In the Company of Fiends, that's basically exactly all the flavor text, which is not in and of itself a bad thing, but for the guy who wants to tell you about this third-party race, what it does, how it operates, it's a little taxing, shall we say. So there's definitely more than one third-party race known as a Nephilim. On planet Earth, the Nephilim were the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men, known as great warriors and literal giants. Once it was claimed that the mating of the sons of God and the daughters of man caused the flood, the building of the ark, because when you got a bunch of giant super warriors, I guess, yeah, that's fair. But if you ask Rite Publishing, the Nephilim are creatures that have walked the material plane since the beginning of the material plane, acting as physical reflections of cruel nature and darker truths underlying all reality. They are the chosen ambassadors of the lower planes. Take an evil entity, someone who has risen up the ranks of the lower plane of your choosing, usually hell, at least if this reading is to be interpreted correctly, given a mortal form, chucked back into the world for the express purpose of corrupting mortal souls. They tend to appear as perfected humanoids, whatever humanoid they have sprung into, basically. They tend to be taller, they tend to be more fit, symmetrically and aesthetically pleasing, unless of course you sprung from like a Clippeth, in which case you might be the opposite, but beauty is in the eye of the cultist, I suppose. Some Nephilim tend to keep mortal form as they grow in power, but some will become more fiendish over time as their spirit literally reshapes their body into something they're more comfortable with. They can't reproduce with humanoids, no making half-fiends or tieflings here. These guys are much, much, much too busy at the beck and call of their dark masters, corrupting and enjoying all the fun in the world, to then corrupt that fun in the world and then make more souls go to the bad place. Easy peasy. So as for their stats, a player may choose any starting age that they wish for their new Nephilim. So the come of age is kind of arbitrary here. Their height and weight are equal to whatever it is they sprung from, though probably a little more taller and a little more muscle, a little less fat. And in fact, these guys are immortal. They do not age. So I assume if you'd like your human-appearing Nephilim to show up at like 120 billion years old for that sweet, sweet, sweet mental stat boost, it probably doesn't pan out for you. Rather, you're just the old man who suddenly has a bunch of strength out of nowhere, which is cool in and of itself. But anyway, character sheet, here we go. Actually, here we don't go. Real quick, we're not going to talk about them, but there are a lot of alternate racial traits for Rite Publishing's Nephilim, up to and including the ability to get racial traits from whatever you appear as. This is a race that has been very, very well loved, but anyway. The Nephilim receives a +2 to its constitution and charisma, but receives a -2 to its wisdom. They are considered hardy and charming, but they're so self-centered that sometimes they can be a little impulsive. The Nephilim is a medium creature with a base speed of 30 feet, dark vision out to 60 feet, and is considered a humanoid with the evil subtype and a single selected humanoid subtype. The Nephilim does not gain any of the ability score modifications or racial abilities of their humanoid subtype, of course. They function as both a humanoid of their subtype and an outsider with the evil subtype for the purposes of spells and effects and things. And Nephilim can be of any alignment. Of course, you can be the anti-hero who goes full CG. Our anti-hero CG, that's an entirely different conversation. We'll have that later. Nevertheless, spells or effects that depend on alignment affected Nephilim as if they had an evil alignment regardless of what they actually are. In addition, the Nephilim are superior to lesser evil outsiders. Literally, their mortal vessel was given to them by a powerful archdevil, demon lord, evil deity, so on and so forth. This grants them authority, especially over weaker evil outsiders of their subtype. Once per day, the Nephilim can target an evil outsider with hit dice less than or equal to the Nephilim's with a command spell as a spell-like ability with a caster level equal to the Nephilim's character level. If the target is an evil outsider with hit dice less than or equal to half the Nephilim's character level, the Nephilim can instead use Charm Monster, commanding the creature to submit, except the effect has a duration equal to the Nephilim's character level in rounds. If the evil outsider also has a subtype equivalent to the Nephilim's fiendish ancestry, get to that in a second, the spell-like ability ignores spell resistance and lasts for an hour. Of course, it's charisma based, that's what we do. To go even farther, each Nephilim is beholden to a master or mistress, but is granted extraordinary autonomy. Nevertheless, each Nephilim is affected by the equivalent of a permanent lesser Geese, with an open-ended task to act in their dark master's interest. This can be removed by any effect that ends a lesser Geese with a caster level of 20th. A Nephilim with 8 hit dice or more is no longer subject to the penalties. So that's a fun bit of roleplay that you have to deal with. I'm not super sure how much RP they think this race is, or if they even thought about calculating that at all. We'll talk more about how I feel about that in a sec. Nephilim also choose and gain one of the following subtypes at creation: Asura, Daemon, Demon Damned, Demon, Devil, Div, Chitin, or Clippeth. They are considered to be native to both this subtype's associated lower plane and the material plane. They're considered to have this subtype for the purpose of prerequisites, spells, and effects, but don't gain the subtype's normal qualities. Instead, the Nephilim gains the following based on that ancestry. Some additionally gain either the chaotic or lawful subtype. Basically, we're putting a giant host of alternate racial traits right into the race without having to be a new thing. Asuras get the lawful subtype and a +2 racial bonus on saving throws against enchantments, spells, disease, and poisons. Daemons get a +2 racial bonus on saves against death effects, disease, and poison. The Demon Damned is a +2 racial bonus on saving throws against divine spells, poison, and +2 racial to intimidate. Demon gets the chaotic subtype, a +2 racial bonus on saving throws against poison, and a +2 to perception and stealth. The Devil gets the lawful subtype, a +2 racial bonus on saves against poison, and a +2 to bluff and diplomacy. Divs, or +2 saving throws against poison, seems popular, actually. Seems to be all of them get that. Neato. And a +2 on bluff and perception. The Chitin with the lawful subtype. Actually, nope, we can poison the boys with the way too many piercings in their face. Neato. They receive a +2 on saves against fear and pain, +2 to intimidate. The Clippeth gets chaotic subtype, a +2 racial bonus on saves against mind affecting and poison. Who'd have thunk it? And a +2 to intimidate. And in addition, Nephilim gain energy resistance 5 to some form of energy based on their ancestry. Asura get acid and electricity. Daemons get acid and one of the other three. Demon Damned get acid and either cold or fire. Demons get electricity and either acid, cold, or fire. Devils get fire and either acid or cold. Divs get fire and either acid or cold. Chitins get cold and fire. Clippeth get cold and either acid, electricity, or fire. Again, this is basically just the ability to have a bunch of races thrown in all in one book without having to publish like extra content down the road. It's an interesting format, I'm not gonna lie. Anywho, whenever the Nephilim is interacting with a humanoid for 1 minute or longer, the humanoid can attempt a sense motive check, DC 15 plus the Nephilim's bluff bonus to get a hunch that something is odd or off about the Nephilim's behavior. The humanoid gains a +2 circumstance bonus if they would recognize the Nephilim's host by sight. So like if you've possessed somebody, I guess, neato. This bonus increases to 4 if they were friends with the host, 6 if they were close friends, 8 if they were intimate, and last but not least, Nephilim treat both the material plane and the plane that best corresponds to their ancestry as their home plane, for the purposes of spells or effects, so they can't be affected by banishment or dismissal while on either. Okay, so that was super wordy. There's a lot of stuff there, and the race is pretty interesting. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of the Nephilim as I see them here, and that's not because of how the Nephilim exist in that universe, but Diablo. It's the lone wanderer, right? except for like the Lone Wanderer eventually literally becomes Diablo, whatever, a different story entirely. That's the vibe I get here. However, that vibe is counteracted by that Dark Master trait. Starting the game with a permanent lesser geese with an open-ended task to act in the interest of whatever dark deity spawned you definitively means the Nephilim is not playing nice with a lot of parties. Can they play nice with some parties? Yeah, I don't see why not. But in some cases, they're literally going to have to wait until they have 8 hit dice or more so they at least can do the thing without accruing a boatload of penalties. It is certainly flavorful, though. I will say that. If nothing else, in mid-level play, it'd be super funny to fake out the paladin. Here you are, openly looking very, very devilly, having that subtype but lacking the aura. Suddenly, all the paladins around you have that big moral quandary, and we've derailed the entire game as we try to figure out how we're gonna fix that. I don't know, this is weird. Having a Nephilim in your game basically means we've got to set the game up around them. Either you're definitely looking at an evil game, or you're looking at a game where at least like morals can be a little shaken around, or a game after level 8 to fit into a party. This could also work wonders in a game where everyone plays something like this, and suddenly you're all the Death Knights that have broken free of the like mind control in the Ebonhold. I liked World of Warcraft back in the day. Playing one of these, I actually am not super sure what I'd do with it. It's kind of the super tiefling. I think I'd have to hold off on playing a Nephilim unless I was playing a game where that particular evil outsider was just super common. Like the demon variant in Wrath of the Righteous that like has been working with the cult of Baphomet forever and ever, and then gets mythic and can like start to shake off stuff, and by 8th gets the geese bought off. This guy just so bends the plot to his will that it'd be really hard for me to be like, ah, yes, this is where I would play it, this is how I would play it. That said, there's definitely a couple of games where this guy slots right in, but what do we think? Do we enjoy the Nephilim? Do we enjoy Rite publishing stuff? Throw it down in the comments, let me know all about it. And that's all the time we have for today. Once I clear out the rest of the Forgotten Race Reviews to-do list, we will start kicking back on, clearing out the rest of the Paizo. That said, we've still got a lot in here. Either not from Paizo or something I'll roll up the sleeves I don't wear myself from the Book of Many Things, the Dalit. See you then.